More life advice from Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus. This is MacVoices. MacVoices is sponsored by Upstart, fair and fast personal loans. Go to upstart.com/MacVoices and find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments. Welcome to MacVoices. This is the talk of the Apple community, and I'm Chuck Joyner. This is the second in a two-part conversation, a very wide-ranging conversation with Bob Dr. Mac LeVitus, which is usually the way our conversations play out. This time, Bob offers a little bit of life advice for folks coming along and ways to get along in the working world. Let's go right back and let's hear from Bob. Your points about the tech industry, I hadn't exactly thought about it like that, but I mean, we've had several guests on MacVoices that, they mentioned that they have remote team members, sometimes a time zone away, sometimes a continent away. And that's not to say that, especially large organizations don't have offices remotely, but you just don't get the same feeling that, it's like it's a remote office. It's not, and yes, they're all team members, but in most cases, it just feels like, they're also employees that work for the same company, as opposed to someone I really collaborate with on and work with on a day-to-day basis.
Well, I've had both, kind of. And I feel like, if I were working on something that required real-time collaboration, this would work for us. This would work for me. You could be anywhere. I don't care. As long as we can find a common time to get together once in a while and do this. For me, a lot of my work, or almost all of it, is done asynchronously via email. I send files to somebody, they do something with the file, and then they send it back to me with comments. And I either do something else with it or I'm done. But, it's it's collaborative, but it's not real-time collaborative. And so I have editors that I've never video chatted with. There's just never been a reason. If they ever need to question something, they can either send it to me as an email or call me on the phone. We don't have to get face to face to, answer a question or something like that. So I don't think I've ever video chatted with anybody at the Houston Chronicle. So I don't know. It's weird. It's like Mac Observer. Oh yeah, all the time. Those guys, they're all on Discord and Slack, and they have a video meet. When I was actual working for them, we have a staff meeting every day on Zoom. Everybody goes, at 11 o'clock, we all gather together for our staff meeting, and everybody's there, and it feels pretty much like gathering in the break room for a quick, check-in meeting. So, I've seen it both ways. I think it's workable. I think that if that's how you want to structure your life and manage your career, you probably can find a way to do that. I think if you're not a person that wants to go somewhere and be there for 50 hours a week, there's more options now than ever before for doing whatever it is you want, but not necessarily in a big room full of other people doing the same thing at the same time. I think that, is going to give people a lot more options, and maybe a lot of people options that weren't available 20 years ago. Used to be you kind of had to, if you wanted to have a career, you had to go to work somewhere and do something. It was pretty rare for people to, be independently earning stuff. I mean, freelance writing is kind of an exception, or freelance art directing or creative stuff. But other than that, there wasn't there weren't a lot of paths that didn't lead to a big company. And then, rising up the ranks in the big company, which
okay, so
I think.
So I mean, you're making a lot of interesting points. So, as someone who has worked in two industries that have not necessarily been, 8 to 5, go to the office dependent kind of thing, what would you tell the young people coming along now? and keeping in mind that the kids today are a whole lot more tech savvy than any generation ever before them. Any particular skills that you think they should be developing or honing, or any yeah, I don't know what other word to use. What should they be focusing on to try to make themselves more marketable in a world where technology is now prevalent?
Well, the same things I told my kids. Omit needless words. So like both kids have dusted off their resumes recently, and one of the things I said was, it doesn't have to be very long. Just hit on the salient points. People don't want to read 3 pages of your resume, just bullet points. Tighten up every communication you have with somebody that you're trying to, do business with. Most people are too verbose. They use a lot of needless words and inflate things that don't need to be inflated. And most people appreciate getting to the point in brevity. So my one piece of advice for young people would be learn to edit yourself and then do it. Just don't ever send any first drafts out. Sit down and look at them and say to yourself, what words don't matter? And then remove those words, and you'll find that, sometimes it's up to 20% of what you wrote doesn't need to be there. And if you're trying to impress somebody that you're savvy and business-like, getting to the point faster will be in your best interest. Another thing is with these video chats is dress appropriately. Turn on a light or two, things like that. Of course, I'm disobeying myself. I'm not very well lit, but I'm at a point in my career where I don't care. If you care, you should be in front of a neutral wall. You shouldn't have a lot of crap behind you to distract the people you're dealing with. You might want to have good lighting. It is probably in your better interest to have a headset or microphone or ear pods, something other than the mic in your computer, which can often be difficult for people to hear. Things like that, little things that really matter. If you're going to deal with somebody over a video connection, make sure you look and sound as good as you can, and have the best presentation possible. If you were going to present to a conference room full of people, you'd put on a nice shirt, maybe better shoes that day, and you comb your hair a little, stuff like that. Well, you should do that before you get on a video call. I've seen a lot of people that are in their pajamas and sweatpants, and just it shows. I don't know. I wouldn't call it a lack of respect, but it is kind of. So, the more important the person you're dealing with, the more I think you might want to put on a shirt with a collar or a nicer pair of sweatpants. First impressions count. And so, with your writing and with your appearance and your speech when you meet with people on video calls, be as professional as possible and put your best foot forward. And wear your best shirt.
You surprised me, because a lot of that advice, with just very few exceptions, all sounds pretty old school. And I don't misunderstand. I don't disagree with any of it, but I'm not sure what I was expecting, but I didn't expect that.
Well, I can't give kids any advice about tech. They know more about it than I do already. That's why I'm going to retire soon. I'm getting too old for this. The kids know all these hip new apps and things, and I don't know. I can't keep up. There's just too much going on. And so I don't have a lot of tech advice. I mean, my advice is the stuff I know, which is write clearly and concisely and put your best foot forward. And, I always use Apple computers, I guess.
Yeah, that's a good one. That's a good one.
And don't laugh and make fun of people who don't use Apple computers. I've found that you make more friends if you don't call them morons. I used to say stuff like, dude, you just bought a dull computer. I mean, I was not very PC, politically correct about PCs, or people who use them. So let's talk about technology for a minute. Got any cool tech that you just have acquired recently that tickles your fancy? Because I, of course, I do, but that's what I live for. That's like my job.
Well, yeah, it's sort of both of ours in some ways, and that's my question to you. I guess the thing that I'm most excited about recently is my new iPad Mini. I love the Mini. I love the size. I love the power. I had a Mini before, and it was aging. There's no question about it.
But now it's got an M processor, which makes it awesome.
Yes.
Yeah. My other computer, not the one I'm using at the moment because I'm going to transition to it, but my other computer is a MacBook Air, M-powered MacBook Air, and I love it. It lasts for like 71 months on one charge, I think. I charge it and it goes 2 days before I need 3 days sometimes. It's unbelievable. So yeah, that's one of the things I really like. Another thing I really like is, I said I got an iPhone 13 Pro Max, right? And its battery, if nobody's been on MacVoices to say that the 13 Pro Max battery is the longest lasting iPhone battery ever by a lot, let me be the first. It's unbelievable. I just wrote about it last week, but my iPhone 10, I couldn't make it to dinner time most of the time without topping off. I mean, if I didn't charge during the day at dinner time, there was zero. I used a 12 Pro Max while I was writing the last version of iPhone for Dummies, and it would make it usually to dinner or past, but not by much. It wouldn't make it to 11 o'clock at night with 20 or 30% left. If it made it that late, it was hitting zero before bedtime. The 13 Pro Max has never run out of juice before I went to bed, no matter what. I mean, I've topped it off on some days, but most days I don't bother because I know I don't have to. And it still will have 20, 30, or 40% left at bedtime. And to me, that's nirvana. We're there. I don't need better than that. I can charge it when I sleep. If I can charge it when I sleep and it stays charged without more juice the whole time until I sleep again, I'm good. But sometimes I don't charge at night. And then I wake up and I have a 30% iPhone and I think, but I have things to do. And that's when this other thing I just got, which I really love, it's called MagLock battery from My Charge. It comes in 3 capacities, I think like 18, 36, and 54-hour capacities for $50, $60, and $70. But here's what's the cool part. Ready? That's my phone in this hand. That's my battery in that hand. And you just put it, I don't know if you couldn't hear that, but a chime plays when it makes the connection. So you know that it's connected. And then in the pocket, in the purse, very strong magnet, fast charge, no button to turn on or off. You just, when it sees that MagSafe connector and makes its magnetic connection, it goes ding. And you can put it down and you're done. But we're charging, and I just love that. It's like I have a million batteries, but none of them is that cool and easy. So I'm really pretty fond of the little My Charge MagLock battery. Works with 12s and 13s. As long as you've got MagSafe, works with or without cases. So this is just a Pelican regular old case. It's not maybe it's MagSafe. I don't know, but it worked with my other case, which wasn't MagSafe, as long as the case isn't too thick. But That's pretty cool. So I like those. I'm hot on those. What else have I lately?
Today's edition of Mac Voices is supported by Upstart, fair and fast personal loans. Go to upstart.com/MacVoices and find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments. I don't know anyone who enjoys receiving their credit card statements each month, and if you're carrying a credit balance month after month, you probably dislike it more than most. Time to do something about it with Upstart. Upstart is where to go to get a fair and fast personal loan, but not like other personal loan options. Upstart is all online and takes just minutes to apply. And it isn't just based on your credit score. Upstart looks beyond the credit score, taking into account your income, current employment, and credit history to find you a smarter rate. Applying doesn't affect your credit score, and if you accept your loan, the funds can be yours in as little as one business day, from $1,000 to $50,000. Get out from under your credit card debt today. Find out how Upstart can lower your monthly payments today when you go to upstart.com/MacVoices. That's Upstart, upstart.com/MacVoices. Don't forget to use my URL to let them know I sent you. Loan amounts will be determined based on your credit, income, and certain other information provided in your loan application. Go to upstart.com/MacVoices. Thanks to Upstart for their support of Mac Voices. Well, do you have an iPad Mini?
No, I got a new full-size iPad last year. And while I would love to have the Mini, and that probably will be my next iPad size, at this point, I don't really want another iPad, and I don't want to get rid of this one to get a Mini. So I'm going to use this one for a while, and then my next one will. My previous one was a Mini, and when it wore out, I replaced it with a full-size, which I'm pretty happy with. But, given my druthers next time, I think I'll go for a Mini again. I hear it's like an iPad Pro, more or less, but mini-sized. It's like, boy, if they just put a phone in it, I'd get that instead of the Pro. If they put the same cameras as this phone, yeah, I'd carry that as my phone. It's a nice size.
Yeah, that's kind of what I'm waiting for. I mean, this is a much better camera than was on my old Mini. There's no question about it, but I would love to see the top-end cameras or something closer to the top-end cameras come to the Mini, because I think then that could be an even more amazing movie-making device, a dedicated movie-making device. But I also understand that the market for that's probably a little bit limited, so it's just the way it goes.
Macro photos on the new camera are amazing. Shooting like from inches away, incredible detail, incredible focus. It's just unbelievable that, something that I carry around in my pocket all the time. What's the best camera? It's the one you have with you, which means for me, it's whatever iPhone I happen to own, because I don't carry a camera anymore, ever. I've got a 35 millimeter camera here and lenses and stuff. And I might break them out to do product shots of something. Like I've been doing a lot of woodworking. And so if I were doing product shots, I might, but I think my iPhone 13 Pro Max probably works just more than well enough for that kind of stuff. Here's something I just finished. This is my new thing. I'm making wooden speakers, little Bluetooth speaker. This is a personal speaker. It's small enough that you could almost stick it in your pocket, but made out of ambrosia maple and Hadouk, I think. No, rosewood, Brazilian rosewood. Sounds okay, pretty good, but it's really pretty. I'm making a bunch of those for holiday gifts this year.
So that's
bunch of different.
The last time we talked to you, I think you were just starting to get into woodworking, or as a bit more of a serious hobby, and it looks like that has progressed.
Yes, I've been enrolled in various woodworking classes at Austin Community College for, I think I'm in my 4th year now. I mean, I'm not in a degree program. I only take maybe one class a semester, but I've been taking classes steadily for 3 or 4 years. I'm learning to build cabinets now, and hinges and drawers and stuff. It's interesting to know how stuff like that works, because I'm about to move, and in my next house, I now have dozens of skills I didn't have when I got to this house. And so I can look for different things in wherever I'm going to live next, knowing that I can do what I need to do the way I want it, like, drawers and storage and shelving and all. I can make almost anything now, tables, chairs. So, in our next house, I'm going to be able to build a lot of the things that we don't necessarily want to schlep from Austin and put in a house they might not fit in. It's like we've got a lot of stuff here that if we downsized our house, wouldn't be the right furniture. Like, we've got a huge dining room set that's just beautiful and I love it so much, but it means then we've got to go look for a place that's got a room big enough to accommodate all of this furniture. So I think I'm going to build the next one, and it'll be exactly the right size for the room it goes in. I'll get a beautiful slab of wood, and I can make a beautiful table. And I could build chairs. I'm learning how to build fine furniture. That's like, after cabinetry, fine furniture. I'm building a leather lace bench. It's like a one-person bench, but instead of having a seat, it's got woven leather, and the whole thing is wood, and it's very swoopy and pretty. I'm trying my hand at that. I don't know. I think I can probably pretty soon start to build more furniture. I can do shelves, bookshelves. I've done wall units. I've done an entertainment center for the TV with storage for, and that was kind of fun because I measured all of the components and I kind of designed the thing to accommodate the components where I wanted them, rather than, buying something and trying to adjust the shelves just so or whatever. This was just big enough to hold everything, but not so big that there's lots of empty space inside, with place for airflow and wires, cutouts for the wires. It was fun. So I like doing that. I'm going to do more of that going forward because I can't bear the thought of writing the same book one more time next year. I think I'm done writing books. I don't know, maybe not.
But you're keeping up the articles.
Oh, yeah. I don't think I'll ever stop. That's so much fun. I don't tell the Houston Chronicle, but I'd probably pay them to write a column every week. Or Mac Observer. Yeah, don't tell Brian.
Yeah. Nobody spill the beans, please. Well, and before we go, I want to make sure that folks know that they can hear you on a regular basis now on the Mac Observer's Daily Observations. Every Thursday, you seem to stop
on
by
Thursdays. Yeah,
share some wisdom.
It's a new thing. It's I love Kelly. She's such a good host. She really is fun to do a podcast with. And so when they asked me if I would come on once a week, I don't want this to sound like I'm ungrateful. And so I said, how much does it pay? He said, you just do it to promote your column. And I said, okay, I'll do that. And the truth is, I don't mind. I do it every week for free because it's fun. And as I tell Kelly all the time, I love podcasting, but I don't want to be a podcaster myself. I mean, that's just so much work. I said, this is the way I like to do podcasting. I get to my microphone at a given time every Wednesday. We tape a show for a half hour, and then you go do all the work. It's perfect. It's the way I love podcasting. So I love podcasting when you do it for me. And that's why I love being on your show, Chuck. because I don't
Right.
have to do anything except put on a clean shirt.
And comb your hair and, all the stuff you were
Well,
recommending to the kids, right?
I don't have much hair to comb.
Bob, it's been great catching up. It's been way too long. I don't know. I feel like we've all been living in a time warp the last 18 months. So
I remember doing the time warp.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Sorry, I set you up for that, didn't I? So
It's just to jump to the left.
yes. So Mac Observer, where you can find Bob's column. The Houston Chronicle, where you can find Bob's column. Thursdays on Mac Observer's Daily Observations, and still doing, although that may be sunsetting, some of the For Dummies books on Apple devices.
Yep. This year's models will all be out. There's going to be a Monterey for Dummies. There's an iPhone for Dummies 2022 edition or 2021 edition. There's been 16, I think, or 14 editions of iPhone for Dummies, and the majority of them are called iPhone for Dummies. So it's like, which one is that? They don't say, because there was no way. We didn't want to name them for the iOS version. We don't want to name them for the current iPhone numbers, because who knows what, like XR and XS, and it got really. So they just went with really generic iPhone for Dummies, iPhone for Dummies. So there's 14 ISBNs that are called iPhone for Dummies. I'm not doing 15. Next time they can find someone else. I'm tired of it. But if a cool new title came along, like, I don't know, augmented reality goggles for dummies, Apple augmented reality goggles for dummies or something, I might come out of retirement for a project like that, where it's not, rewriting myself for the umpteenth time. But other than that, I'm ready to spend more time covered in sawdust.
Well, that's good. That's good. Hey, whatever makes you happy, that's
the other piece of advice for kids is find something that makes you happy and try to make that your vocation. Like I like to write, I like to create things, and those are all things that I get to do. It's like now I can create things out of wood. Before that, I created things in GarageBand musically, and I wrote things. And, for me, being able to create things, to make things out of whole cloth, was my passion. I for a while I wanted to be a record producer, and I managed to, along the way of being a tech writer, work that in pretty often after the introduction of GarageBand. It's like I used to go to Apple used to have me come to their store to do GarageBand demos, and every Wednesday at 7 p.m. I would go to the store and I would record Rockaway Beach by the Ramones, and I would play all the parts on a MIDI keyboard and my guitar, and I would sing all the parts, and then I would jump up on the Genius Bar with my guitar and play the guitar solo. I am the only person, I believe, that's ever been invited to jump on the Genius Bar at an Apple store and play a guitar. Maybe not, but I think so. And so, the things that I've done with my career have been based on what I like to do, which is write things, make things, create things, use my hands, make music. And I've managed to, find a way to incorporate all of that in what I do every day for work. Like for months, I was doing nothing but producing music because I was writing GarageBand for Dummies. It was living vicariously as a record producer by selling a book about audio production software. So find what you love and see if you can find a way to make a living in that field. If you love to cook, become a chef. Cook for people. I love to cook for people, but I've worked in restaurants and I know it's not for me. But, if that's your pet, my daughter's a classically trained chef, and she loves chefing. But she loves snowboarding more. Young people, right? She's constructed her life so she works when the ski slopes are most crowded, and doesn't work on those days like Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, when the slopes are empty or less full, and she can, cut through the fresh powder better. So, she's found her passion and found a way to accommodate the lifestyle she wants, which is skiing on the days that other people don't, or snowboarding. She doesn't ski, she snowboards. So that's what you should do, kids. Snowboard. No, yeah. Find your passion and find what makes you happy, and then figure out a way to make that your vocation and, to live your life like that.
Sound advice from Bob, Dr. MacVoices.
Tell him Bob, Uncle Bob said so.
Yeah, exactly. Bob, thanks so much. Great to have you. We got to do it more often.
Anytime.
Hopefully things are.
And next time I'll actually be on time.
But no, that whole thing, well, we're not going to get into that, but that whole thing was my fault. I apparently can't do time zone math. So
I don't think so. I think it was me, but
well,
I'm time zone impaired.
Yeah. Well, we got it done anyway.
We sure did. That was great. Thank you for having me.
Thank you.
Always a pleasure.
Folks, I'm Chuck Joyner. This is MacVoices. We'll be back with more. And that will include Bob, Dr. MacVoices a lot more often, I hope, as our schedules can fit together and we can work out our time zones. Until the next time, and as always, thanks for watching. Visit MacVoices.com for show notes and to connect with Chuck on social media. Get involved in our Facebook group or like our Facebook page, and get more out of your Apple tech with MacVoices Magazine, free on Flipboard and on the web. And if you find value in it all, consider supporting us through either our Patreon campaign at patreon.com/MacVoices or by making a one-time donation via the PayPal link on our front page and in the show notes of each episode. You will join these fine people who help bring you MacVoices. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media at backbeatmedia.com. Bandwidth provided by CashFly at cashfly.com.